17 days in what 17 days left until the class of 2024 joins our community and joins us on campus. And in what seems like probably the most unique summer any of us will ever experience, we have sort of the crunch time coming ahead for our planning as we get ready for the year ahead. So I thought it'd be helpful to shoot a few videos. I'm probably gonna do 3 of them, one this week, one maybe later this week, and then one the following week, just on things that we should be paying attention to as we get ready for the upcoming school year. So today's video, I'm gonna talk about 3 things. And those 3 things are a new process in our syllabus submissions, some reflection points for the year ahead and how we're planning our courses, and lastly, a request so that we can be as best prepared as we can for the year ahead. The syllabus for a course is probably the most important document, that we have, especially for our planning. It should include all of the things that we want as far as expectations for our students, materials needed, process, protocol, things like that. This year, it becomes even more important in that we have to add probably some elements of Ghost Online and Hybrid Ghost to our syllabus so that our students and our parents know the expectations and the protocols of each. So I want to add a new process, a process that hopefully will help us to get more eyes on each syllabus and share our syllabus planning with our department chairs. So starting this year, we're going to ask that by August 24th, which is the first day of the week of in-services, even though not everyone's on campus, that's just for new teachers, but by August 24th, I'm going to ask that you share your syllabus with your department chair. The purpose of this is to get feedback. To have someone else put their eyes on this really important document, to make suggestions, to maybe even steal some things from what you do well, and maybe show you some things that they do so that we can learn from each other. I hope that you'll have more eyes on the syllabus than just your department chairs, but we're gonna start there. So when you submit the syllabus to the department chair, they're gonna approve or send it back to you for some revisions that need to be made. And once ready to go, that finalized syllabus will be shared with the academics and kept on file with the academics office and Mr. Helson. I'm going to offer some suggestions and some areas to cover so that for those who might not be certain on how a syllabus should be created, these are some guidelines on what to include. It's going to be in the presentation here, which I'm going to kind of go through somewhat quickly, but I'll also make sure I include the presentation connected to the email in which this video is contained. So here are some suggested sections of a syllabus. You should probably include these, though I know some people maybe turn them differently, and I'm not going to require that we turn them a certain way, but these are the areas that I think are really important, are covered in a syllabus. Obviously, a course description and the objectives. When you're looking at the objectives, identifying key skills that are being built in a course are very important. Materials, assessment strategies, what's your approach to grading, and your grading scale and your point value. And then some things that we need to pay attention to, especially knowing the uniqueness of the year ahead, that we could possibly return to Ghost Online 3.0, that we will begin the year in Hybrid Ghost. What are the expectations that you have for your students in those scenarios? Additionally, what are the methods of instruction and the learning platforms used for each of them? One thing that we faced last year when we were using a certain platform to submit work, that sometimes students need to be trained on those. So maybe including that it's important students know how to submit work or access or utilize certain learning platforms is a good thing to include in your syllabus. Also, a course outline, scope and sequence. For some, they like to do it a week by week. I know personally for me, I like to do it week by week, but I never plan beyond a quarter. So I would release the first quarter of the year in a planned week by week schedule. And then as that quarter started to reach the end, I was able to reassess and determine how far we got in the plan and how good we met the plan, and then release the second quarter in conjunction to what we did or didn't finish in the first quarter, and then so on throughout the year. How you like to do that is obviously up to you. Just offering a suggestion, and if we need to talk about these things, please let's have the conversations. And here are some additional topics, if you prefer to include them as well. They may be good. If you've ever faced challenges in these areas in the past, and you've probably found value in having them outlined on your syllabus. Homework policy and absence policy, which this is going to be a little unique this year. I know Tony Chapman's working on what the attendance policies are and how we're going to monitor that at the school-wide level. But it's also important to note what should be done by a student if he is supposed to be in class and is not in class, and it's his responsibility to communicate with you. Also, maybe if he's not in class, but maybe he's absent for an asynchronous day, we have that layer of additional planning that's needed for this year as well. A plagiarism or an academic integrity policy, and then your contact information. And if you prefer a certain communication, let them know, if email is the preferred communication that you have, or you prefer maybe a Schoology message, whatever it might be, it's always good to note those things so they know how to contact you. And as I mentioned, it's the most important document in your class for planning. And here's the process by which we're going to go through a submission this year. Submit the syllabus to the department chair for review by August 24th. It's submitted by August 24th. It won't be reviewed by August 24th. So after August 24th, the department chair will review those and approve each syllabus. And those approved syllabus will be on file in the academics office. An additional suggestion, share the syllabus with your colleagues and request additional feedback, because that feedback can be very helpful. I also want to share with you some reflection points, some things that hopefully are helpful questions that guide your thinking and planning for the year ahead. And the first one's about diversity of thought. How do we incorporate and value diversity of thought in our classroom? And the ways that we incorporate it with the course materials that we select, the way that we engage in conversations in the class, I think it's just a really good reflection point for planning. How do we incorporate different ways of thinking and value those different ways of thinking in the classroom? And an additional reflection point is, how does my course align with our Catholic and Spiritan identities? What are the ways in which my course is Catholic and my course is Spiritan? And how are those identities present in my classroom? It might not be something that appears on your syllabus, clearly, but it should be something that we see and practice in what we do in our classrooms every day. And I know that second reflection question, and probably both reflection questions, can be a little heavy, so I intend them to be not only reflected upon, but also to collaborate with colleagues about those questions and what are their thoughts and how do they accomplish those things. Two additional resources I'd like to give to you is Father Dan Sermani. He serves as our Spiritan chaplain, someone who can help us identify ways to be Spiritan or ways that we are Spiritan that we might not realize, and provide, as he does so well and did so I think yesterday, resources, Spiritan resources, so that we can understand our Spiritan identity better and therefore be better Spiritan educators for the young men of Holy Ghost Prep. Another resource is Mr. Whartonby, in his role as campus minister, the director of campus ministry, that he can provide resources as well for our Catholic faith and our Spiritan identity, so that we can live those identities in what we do. And finally, a request. Let's keep talking. That is a really important and valuable thing for me, and I hope for you in your plan. I know our faculty and staff meeting last week was probably a difficult one. It was the first time, I think, as Greg had mentioned, that we had heard some of those expressions. We have to continue to talk about those things, our concerns, and also recognize that if we're able to do this safely, we're going to do this safely for the young men of Holy Ghost Prep, and that having them on campus, utilizing the expertises that we have out there to be able to bring the young men on campus safely is important. That might stir emotions differently in all of us, and talking about those emotions and discussing those things is really important. So I'm going to continue to keep making the phone calls. I'm going to make some more today, and I'm hopefully by the middle of this week going to be able to talk to everyone individually, one-on-one, those teachers, so we can talk about the classroom needs and your concerns and the things that you're feeling. It's a challenge to plan in uncertainty, and I think it's a challenge that we've accepted and done well in since March. And I think if we continue to collaborate and reflect and plan, we can continue to be effective in the future. Within this email, I provided a bunch of different resources. I have to say thank you to all of the teachers for finding time this summer, whether through the teacher workshops on campus or the workshop for the University of Notre Dame. Find time to pay attention to what's needed to be better educators, and I commend you for that. And I hope the resources that provided in the email are helpful as well. Also, the Padlets used for each workshop. One Padlet we used twice. For the second and third workshop, we used the same Padlet, but they're there as well, so that we can hear other people's thoughts about the challenges of Ghost Online. This is a lot of work, and I'm sure it's overwhelming at times. I feel that. but knowing that we have each other and that we can have conversations and talk and work through this together, I hope is a comforting thought. I'm here. Reach out if you want to have conversations. I know it helps me. I hope it helps you as well.